Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show, and welcome to, I don't know whether to call this, because it is a revival, but I don't know whether to call it like another, I guess, yeah, welcome to another edition of This Community is Racist. There we go. That's how you do an introduction, but anyways. So, first things first, I must let you guys know it's going to probably be towards the end of this episode. I'm going to get slightly distracted because in 15 minutes, I'm supposed to start up a Twitch stream. And, yeah, I'm going to be playing a game that I'm highly a fan of. It's this game called Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. It's a pretty good game. I recommend you guys go check it out. But anyways, I wanted to do another edition of This Community is Racist because, there has been a couple of things that happened this year where I felt like I didn't really get to talk on it as much. But no, for those that are new to this series and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, like this is a revival, like, whoa, where are the other I guess like episodes or a bit of content and things? So yeah, originally this series was a 3-part series on my main YouTube channel. If you're viewing this podcast episode on my main channel, then yeah, if you do a little bit of searching around, you'll find the original videos. But because I think for the most part all of the content has been uploaded onto my main channel. But if you are viewing this on my podcasting channel, then I would recommend you guys go over to my main channel, TMossBoss, and you'll see all the content that you need to see. But overall, yes, this was a series that I had started back in, I think it was 2019. Where I started noticing a racist pattern from Just a Robot and his fan base, and here's the thing, with Just a Robot, it's kind of like, because I would look at Just a Robot as a cult leader, he's kind of like, what's that one guy, Charles Manson, he might have not, because I don't think Charles Manson, he ever went down for like no murderous crimes, but he was just a person, he was the spokesperson, he was the guy that convinced everybody of whatever it was he was talking on, because I ain't really followed Charles Manson like that. All I just know of his name and that he was crazy. But anyways, I knew that he had said some motivational words to have his people go out and kill people and carry on his messages. There's probably people still to this day that are Charles Manson fans or think they part of his family or whatever the case may be, but they listen to what he says and they're all like, oh, I agree on that, or I could relate to that and all this other stuff. So yeah, at one point in time, that's how Just a Robot's fans were. He was Charles Manson and his fans were the family, and that was one thing about it. It's like you can tell his fans that he's doing something wrong, that what he's doing isn't right, and it's crazy how a lot of them are realizing that now, but back then it was like, okay, what's different from back then to now? And that some people do say like, oh, I was a kid back then, but there was also adults that was a part of his fan base where it's like, okay, well, what's your excuse? You wasn't a kid. You can't say, oh, I was immature and this and that and all this other stuff. It's like, fam, you was a full-grown adult still following this man. So that's why I'm like, it really confuses me. Like a kid, okay, I'll give you a ghetto pass, but a full-grown adult, it's like, bro, what you got going on and stuff. So, but anyways, yeah, man, like, no, the racism, it was crazy. It got to a point where I was all like, fam, like, you guys are kind of going too far with it and things. And this was after I had did the 3-part video series, because there was a situation in 2020 where somebody, and I think it was this racist Twitter stalker that I was going back and forth with on Twitter, of course, but no, this guy, he was on Instagram, he was on YouTube, because I discovered him through YouTube, because he was re-uploading my videos, like, so any video that I would mess up on, he would re-upload it, or if he felt like it wasn't good content, he would re-upload it, because there was one video that I had did talking about Trisha Paytas, and I didn't realize that the video was muted, and so I uploaded it, and I'm like, because fam, I thought the video was perfectly fine. I think I even had watched the video before I had uploaded it, or it was either I had watched the video before I uploaded it, or I was recording so many different videos at the time using the program Wondershare Filmora that I never had any issues with it before. So that's why I was like, I was kind of confused by when I had recorded that video and there wasn't no audio, and I'm like, fam, what's going on here? But anyways, I uploaded that video not realizing they didn't have no audio. A friend of mine told me about it, and I ended up taking the video down, and I made up for it. I think I did a podcast episode and redid the video. And so, but no, he re-uploaded the video that had no audio, and he was all like, oh, TMossBoss is a lazy content creator. He's this and he's that. And I'm like, says the guy that's having to re-upload my content for content. So who's really being lazy here? Like, it's one of those things, you got to sit down and think about. But that's not where the racism had started. The racism had started when, so it was when the Breonna Taylor and George Floyd situation had went down. And that was like the main thing that everybody was talking about. But this guy, he was the only one that was like talking about me. Like, everybody, you see, the thing is this: you can open up social media, whether it was Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everybody was talking about Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. There was not one person on social media that wasn't making no tweets talking about that stuff, or posts, any form of social media posts talking about that stuff. So I had brought that up, and I told that guy, I'm like, hey, if you're gonna talk on something, talk on that. Talk on Breonna Taylor's situation. Talk on George Floyd's situation. Talk on something that's a little bit more interesting. Ain't nobody on the internet, especially right now in this time and place, there's not one single person going to your profile looking for a TMossBoss tweet. All right, so talk on something that's like, I guess, a little bit more interesting. This was, so I think he was all like, oh, I already talked on George Floyd's situation. This is what he said. He was like, I already talked on George Floyd's situation, and I don't care about Breonna Taylor's situation. And I'm thinking to myself, fam, you don't find nothing wrong with that? And I guess people will argue and say like, oh, well, that ain't really racist. Like, he wasn't saying anything racist. He wasn't doing anything racist and stuff. So I'm like, okay, you know what? You want to have that argument? That's 100% fine. There's other things that I can talk on. So anyways, but no, there was a comment that I had got where it was crazy, because there was a book writer. She contacted me and wanted me to be featured in her book. Honestly, one of the greatest accomplishments ever in my like content creating career. I'm like, to be featured in a book. Yeah, bro. I'm like, it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, I can't remember the name of the book by heart, but I know that the author behind the book, her name is Caroline Baker. So if you guys look that up on either Amazon, I think that's what it's called. It's called An Influencer's World. I think that's what it's called, and it's by Caroline Baker. So yeah, definitely go check out that book. But anyways, so overall though, but no, she contacted me and she was wanting to ask me about content creating and all that stuff. And I'm all like, yeah, it's just answering a bunch of different questions and things. And then that's when she was, we got to talking about like racism and all that stuff. And then that's when I told her, I was like, cause I don't know if it was either him or it was somebody, I guess, just commenting around the same time as him. But cause no, that's the thing, like with Just the Robots fans and stuff, like they kind of like, they come out of like a line and stuff. So it'll be like I'm dealing with one fan one day, dealing with another fan the next day, dealing with it. So I don't know if it was him or if it was another fan. But anyways, there was a comment that I got where they called me the N-word in one comment, which is something that I'm used to. But this other comment, I was like, that's something that I've never heard before. Throughout my 10 years of being a content creator, I ain't never had nobody say this to me. But anyways, the guy, he either had said, I'll have to like go back and find that comment, but he said that I either deserve a noose or I deserve to be hanged. Either way, it was like, I understood the message on what he was saying. And I was like, wow, that's some next level anger right there. I'm like, I don't think I've ever made anybody that angry before with content creating. And I'm like, fam, mind you, this was all because of some YouTube videos. This all started because I do reaction videos and stuff. So yeah, man, it's weird. But no, I mean, there was that, and then when I had got into streaming, that's when I will have to say there was definitely a fan where he was displaying his racist side and stuff. And I mean, like, he would say things in my streams where it was like, fam, what are you talking about? But so anyways, to kind of give you guys a little bit of a backstory on that, and I did I believe I did do a full length video talking about this guy. But it was this guy. I'm pretty sure if you were following me on Twitch at that time being, you probably already know who I'm talking about. Or if you was a streamer during that time being, you know who I'm talking about, because he most likely joined your streams. But it was this guy named Hamza. And so yeah, so the backstory on that guy, so he claimed he used to be a Just a Robot fan. I like how I put up my quotation fingers, and I'm like, I'm not even doing the video, but anyways, but no, quote unquote, claimed to not be a fan of Just a Robot anymore, but he said he used to be a fan of him back in the day, but he was like, he stopped being a fan of him and was joining my streams wanting to be a fan of me and stuff. So I didn't really think too much about it, but at the same time, I'm like, something just felt off with this guy. I'm like, it just, like when he came through the stream, I'm like, the vibes just felt off. So, but no, anyways, he joins the stream. He's like, oh yeah, I used to be a fan of Just a Robot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it's whatever and things. But as the time went on, I mean, he would just say some stuff that I'm like, fam, you know, you wouldn't ask nobody this face to face. Why are you asking me this? Like, what? Like, it's one of those things. I'm like, you have the God-given right to ask me anything you want to ask me, but you want to ask me just like racist questions or weird questions and stuff. Like, there was one where he was like, "Oh, how many people live in your household? Why do you need to know that information?" I'm like, well, what does that like have to do with you about who's living in my household or not? Then the one comment that he said where I was all like, well, there was a couple of things that he said, but anyways, where it was racist, but well, no, actually there was a few things. I'm like, nah, this guy, I'm trying to like, you know, kind of PG it and stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm giving y'all the uncut version of this guy. So, but no, so the first racist thing he says in my stream, so he joins my stream and he's all like, oh, do you own a gun? And I'm like, no, why do you ask? And he was like, oh, well, because you're black and I assume that all black people own a gun. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, that's probably one of the dumbest things to, I guess, ever assume. But no, I don't have a gun. And I'm like, yeah. And I think it was either that moment or it was probably, I think, when he asked me, like, oh, how many people live in your household? It was one of them two things where I'm like, hey, stop asking me personal questions. Like, leave that mess alone. Like, that ain't got no concern. You like it doesn't have anything to do with you. That shouldn't be your concern. Your concern should be whatever you got going on in your life. And he's trying to make it seem like that it's not weird. And I'm like, fam, if I'm telling you that it's weird, it's weird. There ain't no argument for that. It's weird. All right. You don't be going around and like, and that's the thing where it's like you find a question that's equally weird and somebody asks you it, you're going to say the same exact thing. All right. So, but no, so that was the first time he said something racist. The second time he said something racist, this has something to do with back when I was in high school. So I think for it to kind of give you guys a little bit of a backstory. So back when I was in high school, there was a situation where I had asked this girl out. She said no because due to the color of my skin. And I'm like, okay, well, fam, I don't know if you know how race works, but I'm like, usually when you're born black, you live your life as a black person, but that's how it is for all races. That's how it is for your race. That's how it is for the next person's race and everybody else's race. So I don't really know what you want me to do with that information, but yeah, that was somebody where I was all like, nah, I dropped contact with her because I was like, yeah, your philosophy on life is kind of weird and stuff. So, but I had talked about that because, you know, I just kind of wanted to let people know of that story and stuff. So he sees that video, the Just a Robot fan, Hamza. He sees that video and he's all like, oh, I just wanted to let you know, I don't think what that girl did was racist. Fam, literally everybody. No, so you know what's funny? So I remember I was at work talking about this. I think I was telling my friend Jack, he was the bass player, a part of Monitor. Some of you guys may know who I'm talking about, but if not, there's a friend of mine's at my old job named Jack. I was telling him about it, and then it was funny because this customer, she overheard and she was all like, whoa, wait a minute, what? And I was all like, so I had to like tell her the story and stuff. She's like, no, the funny thing is, that's how cool I was with the customers at that job, was that they would be sitting down, hearing my stories, all that stuff. Like, here it is, they gotta go clock in, you know, do their 9 to 5. This woman was so invested into my story, but she literally said the same thing as everybody else said when I told them that story. That's racist. Like, you can't argue with that and stuff. Like, you can't argue and say, oh, well, it's her. And that's what he was trying to say. It's her preference. I'm like, okay, well, it's a racist preference. Hold on for 1 second. I just need to go live real quick on Twitch. But yeah, I think the microphone, that'd just be mad weird if I'm doing this and people are hearing my voice and they're all like, wait a minute, it's like, what is he talking about? It's like, why he sound like he talking to another person or something. But anyways, no, so but yeah, so he says that, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, you can't argue with me about something that I dealt with. Like, you've never dealt with that, so you can't relate. I've dealt with that. I'm like, so you can't tell me how. But anyways, he was going back and forth trying to like explain to me how it's not racist. I'm like, fam, you can explain it in 101 Dalmatian different ways. It's still gonna be racist. Like, there ain't no argument for that. All right. But anyways, but yeah, it was, and no, that was actually the reason why, because he eventually did get banned from my stream. And no, and it was because he was saying racist things about his friend's little brother, I believe. Like, yeah, that's what it was. So he joins my stream one day and he's all like, oh yeah, my friend's little brother, he be trying to like act black like a gangster and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, why are you talking about your friend's like little brother? It's like, hey, it's one of those things where I'm like, bro, have respect. This is somebody that you claim to be your friend, but yet you're talking behind their back and stuff. Like, I'm like, nah. So it was funny. It was like he had said so many different crazy things in my streams and other people's streams. Like, this wasn't racist, but it was still something where I'm like, fam, why are you going into other people's streams talking crazy? But no, he joins this one streamer's chat, and so she goes and starts talking about how she just graduated from college, and then she's talking on it. She's happy. It's like anybody would be happy about that. You graduate from college and stuff. And he goes on to make some comment talking about, oh, well, it's not like Ivy League or something like that. Pretty much trying to downplay her, like, her accomplishment and stuff. And I'm like, fam, she could graduate from community college. Still, at the end of the day, she can say that she graduated from college. The only thing that you ever bragged about, at least in my stream, is that you walked 20 miles from your house to a GameStop's. That's literally the only thing that we know about you. So, like, it's funny how, like, when they'll, like, try to, like, downplay something that a person is doing, yet they ain't got nothing going on for themselves. And I'm like, fam, you're in no place of business to be talking about people. Be gone with you. Okay, so, but anyways, yeah, man, I was like, that guy, he had to go. It was funny because, like, so when after I had banned him, and he was like going through like people that I was cool with and trying to tell them that I was being weird and stuff. And I'm like, fam, people know me. They don't know you. So it's like you're pretty much like going to some of my closest friends trying to like tell them about me and stuff. And it's like, how do you think that's going to work out when they don't know absolutely nothing about you? I'm like, yeah, bro, get out of here. But anyways, yeah, that went on for a while. And then eventually he did get banned. And then what else happened after that? I'm trying to think, because I'm trying to think. I don't think there was really nothing else that was like racist going on from Just the Robots fan base, because that had happened, I think, like it was either 2022 or 2023. I think it was throughout that time frame. But anyways, and then 2024 didn't deal with nothing. It wasn't until this year that's when I had dealt with a couple of racist Just the Robot fans, where the one fan, I think we all know about that one, the one that was just being mad weird on Twitter and stuff. Not the original one, but there was another racist Twitter stalker where this guy, like, I mean, he was saying some of the most like out of pocket weirdest things, making like AI art of me, and then I'm trying to think, like, I don't think he ever did call me the N word, but I'm trying to think, what did he say that was racist? Because it's like, it's slipping my mind. But if I went through because I did screenshot some of the stuff that he posted, and I think it was some things that I just can't remember it word for word. I had to go through and look through the files and stuff, through the, what was it that Just a Robot, he said he had like some Batman files on people or something like that. But I'm gonna have to look through my Batman files to figure out what this guy had said. But I remember he did say something racist. I just can't remember what it was, but it was like petty racism. It's like racism that a troll would say and stuff, I guess, if they're trying to get you upset and all that crap and things. But no, it was there was a night where I was going at it with one of Just a Robot's fans. So there was a situation where Just a Robot, he made some tweet, and then it was a friend of mine's, I believe it was K-Huck, where shout out to K-Huck. If you guys haven't, make sure y'all go shoot her a subscribe on her YouTube channel and stuff. But anyways, so she responded to a tweet, because I didn't even know that Just a Robot had made this tweet, but he makes this tweet, K-Huck responds to it, I responded to the tweet, and then it was at this point, it was one of them like Red Dead Redemption brawls, like we were all throwing hands with each other and stuff. But me and K-Huck, we were standing side by side, we were just throwing hands with Just a Robot and stuff. But nah, so a fan of his had joined in on the argument, and then then I guess I must have made the fan so upset that he just started calling me the N-word and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of funny how you just jumped to the whole racism thing. And then he made some comment where he's like, yeah, dealing with people like you are going to be racist. I'm like, fam, there is not one bone in my body that can make a person a racist. That's just what you got going on with yourself. Like, they ain't got nothing to do with me. So you trying to blame me for whatever underlying racism that you got going on with yourself. I'm like, fam, that's you, bruh. That ain't got nothing to do with me. If you want to say I triggered it, then I'm like, okay, then say what you got to say or do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, that ain't got nothing to do with me, bruh. And I'm like, that's on you. So, but anyways, and yeah, I have to say, like, for the most part, that was like the last time I really had dealt with anybody racist from Just a Robot's fan base. I'm pretty sure it ain't gonna be the last time. You know, it's just like, I guess, like, yeah, just recently the last time I had dealt with it. But I already know I'm gonna be dealing with more racism from his fan base. But I mean, the funny thing is, though, with Just a Robot, because he always tried to get away from the racism accusations and stuff, and just with all the different things that I've heard and seen with Just a Robot, from the clip where he was on the he claimed he was on a date with a black woman, and I'm like, I'm find that very hard to believe, but I'm like, I guess, yeah, if she agreed, then it was probably one of those things where she just was curious about you. She was like, nah, let me see how this guy is, because I guarantee and I promise you, she went back to her friends and family and she was flat out making fun of Just a Robot. But anyways, but no, so she asked him a simple question like, oh, what kind of trains are you into, or what's your favorite type of train? And Just a Robot gonna ask her, I don't know, what's your favorite type of chicken or basketball team or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, and you don't find nothing wrong with that question. You don't find absolutely, and there are people that will, they seriously won't. They won't find anything wrong with that. And it's like, fam, you're asking probably one of the most stereotypical racist comments that you can possibly ask a black person, and you don't find nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm like, I guess. But anyways, and then the other thing was that it was from somebody that was, so they were friends with people that was in Just a Robot circle. So it's kind of like they were, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were like all congregating in the same Discord servers, but I think that's what it was, is that the friend, the mutual friend had their own Discord server, and then it was some like Just a Robot fans that I think they invited him, or he somehow, some way got an invite to that server, but he joins the server. This part wasn't racist, but I guess like he started making fun of a married couple. I think they posted their pictures of like them getting married. He started making fun of that, but no, that's what he did, was that he joined the server and he just randomly just started dropping the N-word, because, and this is what the individual in question, like what they told me, what he said was that that he has a pass because his roommate told him to, or said that it's okay for him to say the N-word. And I'm like, fam, you know, I just can't wait for the day though where it's like he really does get exposed on some racism, because then I feel like all this stuff is going to come back and resurface, and it's like, oh, so he's been racist for years. It hasn't been like, oh, he just recently started being a racist. Nah, he's been racist for a fat minute now. So yeah, that's why I'm like, you know, people, that's the thing with him, he ain't gonna beat them racism allegations. You know, it's like with me, it's like, I'm like, I'm gonna believe that he's a racist up until I guess I can actually see some concrete evidence, some proof that he's not racist. But that's the thing though, with somebody like him, it's like him trying to, I guess, prove his innocence on racism. That's like me trying to prove that I'm a Caucasian female. It's gonna be impossible, bruh. So anyways, yeah, that's why I'm like, you know, he could try, but I'm like, yeah, I'm like, good luck with that, you know. So I just think in this day and age, he's gonna go based off of, oh, people are gonna believe my word over yours because I wrote out something, I did this, I did that, and it's like, okay, well, fam, there's still evidence linked to you being a racist from your fans, from clips. I'm pretty sure if we look hard enough, we're gonna find some. Well, no, yeah, there was the one video that he did all the way back then. I think since then, yeah, he took that video down, but there was a video where he had defended the Confederate flag, and then he had his outro song based off of a song from that movie American History X, and if you've seen that movie, you already know what that movie is about. So that's why I'm like, yeah, bro, you ain't beating no racism allegations with me. I'm like, maybe with somebody else, but not me. So, but anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube, follow or subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service, and peace.